Hey everyone, this is Crystal Lee, aka the Clinician Coach, and today we're talking about marketing to medical doctors. So, a few years ago, I had actually started a psychological services department that took insurance, and primarily we saw Medi-Cal patients, which is like the Medicaid for California. So I was in charge of doing everything from the ground up, including getting referrals in the door. And we started with doing just psychological assessments versus therapy. So what I thought to do, which ended up being really lucrative, was to go and meet with pediatricians because we did mostly child testing. And for you guys, it could be any kind of medical doctor, but for my purposes, it was pediatricians. And making connections with those pediatricians and doing that basically filled our entire practice. And sometimes we would have wait lists, people waiting for assessments. So sometimes when I mention going to talk to doctors, medical doctors, therapists get a little intimidated because they've heard horror stories about it, or they just think about stepping into a doctor's office where it's super chaotic. Usually you're talking to the front desk person versus the actual medical doctor, and it could be a little intimidating or overwhelming. So I'm going to give you some tips, some things that I learned were effective from when I was doing all these doctor visits. So the first thing, the most effective thing, I think, is to go into the office, introduce yourself to the front desk person, and say you want to do a lunch and learn. So there are definitely pros and cons to doing lunch and learns. The pros are you build a lot of goodwill with the entire office because you're bringing them lunch. And another pro is you get FaceTime with the actual medical doctor. But the cons are you got to buy everybody lunch, and usually for the whole office, not just for the doctors. So it can be a little expensive. And lunch and learns mean different things to different offices. So sometimes you actually get, a good half hour talking to the actual medical doctor or the referral coordinator or the office manager, whoever. And sometimes you're sitting in their kitchen and people are coming in and out and just grabbing food and maybe looking at your flyers or marketing materials, whatever. So there are definitely pros and cons, but I found that if you go in with the kind of explanation of, I want to do a lunch and learn for the office, for your medical doctor, whoever, about a certain topic. So for me, it was like autism and autism testing and why, psychological testing was beneficial or needed, how to make referrals, that kind of thing. If it was something that the office was actually interested in, they would actually carve out a good half hour, sometimes even an hour. Hour is more rare, but sometimes an hour for those less busy offices where you can actually have their full attention. So you go in and you're providing kind of some psychoeducation, giving them almost like a little training. And they like that because they're learning something, they feel more confident and competent, and they're also getting free food. So lunch and learns is definitely a way to go. Now, if that is outside of your budget because you're like a solo practitioner, then you don't have to do a lunch and learn or even a full spread, that kind of thing. What you can do is the other route, which is send out letters, form letters that are, tailored to each doctor, but pretty much like a form letter. Send out letters to a whole bunch of medical doctor offices near your practice and then follow up. So you send out these letters, and then maybe a week later, you want to follow up and call and say, hey, I sent a letter with some of my materials. I wanted to introduce myself, blah, 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 give them a little spiel, and then say do you mind if I come by your office sometime and just drop off some materials? Maybe you can put them in your waiting room, something like that. Sometimes they'll say yes, sometimes they'll say no. If they say yes, you go in and you bring goodies. So you don't have to bring a full lunch or whatever, because that can be expensive. But definitely bring candy if it's Halloween, or muffins or bagels or a cookie basket. You bring them goodies. You want to make a very good first impression because it's I'm coming here, you're doing me a favor by taking my marketing materials. Let me give you something in return for your generosity, which is yummy food. And when you drop off your marketing materials, something that has been really helpful is having a actual referral form. So a lot of doctors' offices are just used to using these referral forms to refer patients out. So like something with a lot of little check boxes, something really simple, like just one page, even half a page, lots of white space, but something that makes it super clear and super easy how to refer patients to you. I've seen other clinicians use like little, almost like they look like prescription pads, like little pads with their information, and doctors will literally like rip off a page from the prescription pad, give it to their patient, and that's it. That's how they make the referral. It makes it super easy for the doctor. Basically, you want to make it really clear and really easy for the doctor to make referrals. So that's another thing that you can do. If you're not into the, let me send out a bunch of form letters to a ton of doctors, whatever, you can do just like the little drop by, which is you drop by with your basket of muffins, whatever, introduce yourself and drop off your marketing materials. And with all of these different methods, you want follow-up. The follow-up is either coming back with more muffins, more cookies, more whatever, along with your marketing materials, saying hi, making sure that you know people's names. It's really building a relationship. That's what you're trying to do. And if somebody, does refer to you, getting permission from the patient to just say like a thank you to the pediatrician or to the doctor, whatever. You want to make sure the doctor doesn't feel like their referral is going into a black hole. Doctors like to know what's going on because in the medical system, when they refer a patient to another provider, they they know what happens to the patient afterwards. It's not like a black hole. The providers communicate with one another and share, potentially share medical records and things like that, which is very different than the mental health world because we're very much into, no, we need our release of information, da, da, da. So make it, if you feel comfortable doing so, make it a routine to get permission, like written permission from the referred patient, so you can at least let the doctor know like, hey, your referral landed safe and sound in my office, or thank you for the referral, and send them a thank you card or something like that. So hopefully these tips are helpful for you. I could say so much more, but this video is already getting fairly lengthy. So let me know if you have any questions, thoughts, and drop them below. Thanks. Bye.